It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, in the Sharp Interactive TV today, I have Dewey Rodgers, and Dewey Rodgers heads up the app program at Xerox. And these apps have been around a long time. Very, very interesting stuff. I started playing with some of these, and some of them are quite innovative. So I wanted to bring Dewey on and talk about this because these app things are really kind of taking off in the market. Dewey, it's great having you on the end of the day with Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, Dewey, I started playing around with some of these apps in the gallery, the Workflow Central gallery, and I found one that was really, really interesting. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But can you give the audience just a history of these apps? Why did Xerox come out with them, and how long have you been doing it? And maybe we can talk about some of the better apps that are on the platform.
Yeah, this beast started at about 2014, 13, 14 timeframe. And when Xerox first came out, we came out with what we called the App Studio.
Okay.
And it was really based around creating your own apps and having these templates. And we got it out there to some partners, some key partners who started creating their own apps. And then it blossomed from there. So we have our own development team. Xerox creates apps. We have partners that are out there that are creating apps today. We have ISV partners that are creating apps today, and the gallery is really kind of the Xerox App Gallery is really kind of that central place to hold all of it.
So let me talk about these developers. So obviously Xerox has their own in-house development team that's creating apps, but it's kind of intriguing to me. So how do you become a person or a company that's allowed to create an app for Xerox? Do you have to be a Xerox dealer? Could it be two guys in their house that create apps that are really good at it and come to you all and say, hey, we want to put this app on the app gallery? I mean, how does that work?
That's a great question. We open it up to all of our partners that are selling Xerox gear today. Okay. And the value proposition for them, Ray, is that they can, we give them the SDK, we give them the tools, we give them the training, we even give them the gallery to be able to house it, where they can customize an app for their customers. So they can actually create an app, customize it for their customers, and then sell it on the hardware that they're selling to them.
Okay.
That's a great value proposition. I mean, there's nobody that's closest to the customer than our partners, right? Mm-hmm. So when they're selling to the customer, they understand what their business problems are. We give them the ability to actually create apps on their own and house it in a partner gallery. They can house it in our public gallery. They can even have their own private gallery to house these apps. We got some great stories that are out there.
So they're creating the apps basically around workflows. So in my mind, I'm thinking, let's be honest. Okay, don't get offended, some dealers, but we got some crazy dealers out there. And if they're looking at workflow, are they trying to reinvent existing workflows and coming up with a quirky app around that, or are you seeing them come to you with some really interesting, innovative workflows that maybe no one's ever thought about, bringing these certain pieces together, and the app was able to do that?
Yeah. So we have apps that we've created. So let's take being able to scan to Salesforce, for example. Okay. That's a Xerox created app that we actually partnered with a partner of ours. But that's in there, and that's it. They have the ability to sell that to their customers. Okay. But in many cases, and I love using this story, Ray, we have a partner in the UK, okay, in Europe. And they walked in, they were trying to sell a customer gear. They were focused on the gear. They were one of probably 4 vendors that were out there. They're getting down to the nitty gritty, and they're talking price. And the owner of this agency, okay, noticed that their employees were on the way to lunch, all had to go to one kiosk. They had to enter their order in that kiosk, and it was causing a huge line behind it.
Okay.
And he thought, what if I made an app on the devices that I'm promoting to them, trying to sell to them, that allowed them, all the employees, to put their order in at the Xerox device? So he created the app, he tested it, he rolled it out, he basically demoed it to the customer, and the customer was wowed. So there's an example of taking a menu, ordering menu, putting it as an app on a device, and winning the deal. But then you go further than that. You've got the ability to scan and go directly into folders, and using fax, for example. We have a partner, Just Tech, here in the United States. They were focused early on fax and having an app just for fax, and they've been very successful with that. And now they're even creating apps for other partners that are out there.
Interesting. So how many partners are creating the apps compared to the ones that Xerox does themselves?
Right now we've got probably well over 200 partners that have signed up, that have been trained, and have created some sort of app. We have over 500 in the program, and sometimes they get stalled. They realize they need more development cycles. So we kind of help them out to understand. We keep having webinars and help them to understand, what they can do and how they can create apps for their customers.
So if I'm thinking about this, if go back to the menu app, if you will.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the motivation around the apps is obviously it's got some hardware driven centricities around it as well. I mean, you want to put the apps on the device movement. But is there ever going to be a time when some of these apps will just go on the iPad or my iPhone, and I won't even need the hardware? I mean, do you see that coming? You might not be allowed to answer that, but I'm just I'm curious, because there's some of these that I think would make some cool app store apps.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. The pandemic, over the past 24 months, it actually opened our eyes a little bit and made us realize that it's more than just a paper-based workflow, right? Mm-hmm. That customers have paper-based workflows. They need to scan. But a lot of times these apps and the workflows inside these apps are important to the customers to keep their work flowing. Mm-hmm. So last year we came out with something called Workflow Central.
Okay.
And I think that you played around with it a little bit, but the beauty about that is it opens up the fact that I'm able to use not only my PC, I can use my mobile phone, and the Xerox MFP all have the same look and feel, the same seamless look and feel for the customers to be able to either have paper-based workflows and digital workflows. Mm-hmm. So now we've opened that up, especially those hybrid customers, right? Mm-hmm. And all the customers that are now gone hybrid, they're not necessarily in the office where they have access to that MFP that started off with that app. Now we're opening up that they can have those same workflows inside of a digital workflow and a platform called Workflow Central.
Does the Workflow Central will work on one device, but if I have 100 users, they could access that Workflow Central through that device? Am I saying that correct? I mean, they probably have to pay a license fee for each person, but it's not like I need to have 100 MFP so that 100 people can use a remote app.
Correct. It's unlimited users and unlimited devices. And it's based on a consumption basis, right? You have a monthly or yearly fee and how many scans or digital documents they're putting through it. Mm-hmm. So what the beauty about that is that the partners that are selling this, mm-hmm. The more their customer uses it, the more they roll it out to their employees, the more that they're using it, their business, raises at that time. So they're able to charge more, or they're able to charge bigger packages, rather than 100 scans a month, it could be 1,200 scans a month. Mm-hmm. So the opportunities are endless there. And this is going to be a platform, Ray, that we keep adding to.
Sure.
Also. So we have this apps ecosystem. Not only are the apps going to be added, more and more apps be added to that gallery, but also more and more workflows inside of that platform.
I think I'll come up with an app to manage the apps in the app gallery, because there is a lot of them, and I was kind of going through that. You guys have a pretty good way to do that, but hey, you know what y'all created, which is interesting. It's a way for dealers to be compensated for information that stays behind glass, number one, and that's important today. And we all worried about this paperless argument. We can argue that all day long, but the reality of it is, if we can be compensated for information flowing behind glass, that's a great thing. And the Xerox App Gallery kind of brings that to the table, which is pretty damn awesome.
Absolutely.
So, real quick, so if I want to go back to, there's probably some dealers out there that have some creative workflows, some unique verticals that maybe they're working with, and if they want to reach out to Xerox, and let's just say they're not even a Xerox dealer, they're selling some other brand. Is there a way that they could reach out to Xerox and have these app conversations, or where that leads, it leads, who knows? But I mean, can at least have the conversations with non-Xerox dealers?
Absolutely. They could, reach out to not only myself, but we also have, if you go to Xerox.com, we have a personalized application builder section too, that they can go on there and they can fill out an application, and we'll contact them and talk to them at that time. But we have multi-brand dealers all the time that are coming into the program, and they see the benefit of being able to customize their own apps for their customers all the time, and it's becoming a good value proposition for us to go after some of those multi-branded dealers that are out there.
And the real quick, so if I do develop an app, I think Justin Tech is what you said was one of the dealers that does this quite well. If another dealer uses that app, does the app creator get revenue from that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we leave it open for the partner to make that decision. So they have several choices. They can put it in our public-facing app gallery for other dealers to sell, right? They can put it in just a partner-facing app gallery for dealers to sell also. The difference between the public and the partner is that customers can actually go to that public-facing.
Sure.
The partner-facing, all the partners control their costs and everything. And then of course, in some cases, like Just Tech, I know, has created apps for other dealers, and they have their own private gallery that they're doing. So, for example, they might, I know that there are apps being created out there in private galleries that are just focused on promoting the partner, giving a number for customers to call when their supplies are low, all that right there at the device, so they don't have to go hunt and look for it.
You can put your own creativity.
So simple things like that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Well, I look forward to having you back on. Maybe we can bring in one of the dealers that has been successful developing some of the apps. We can talk a little bit about that. I'm going to continue to play with them. I found one that I can use on social media, I think. It actually takes a long form document, maybe a 700-word article. It'll reduce it down by 10, 20, 30, 40%, and then turn it into an audio file, which is, I think I could have a ball with this, because hell, nobody wants to read a 700-word article anymore, but if I could get it down to 70 words, that'd be kind of cool if it still made sense.
Yeah, Xerox Summarizer, check it out. I'd love to hear you use it.
I'll tag it. I'm going to use it. I'm looking for the right article to get that done with. But Dewey, you have anything to say before we wrap this up?
No, I really appreciate you having us on here, and look forward to coming on again. Maybe we can show exactly what some of these apps are doing out there for customers, and even, like you said, have a partner on here and show what they've created.
Yeah, let's do that for sure. Because, we got to do some different things, because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. We'll see y'all tomorrow.